All right. So today we have, well, Justin's not here, obviously, but today we got another guest for AAPI month, and we got Bryan here. So, Bryan, could you introduce yourself real quick and what org you're a part of?
Yeah, my name is Bryan Eng. I'm a member of the New York Vikings. Been a member of the New York Vikings essentially since I was been born.
So, I actually play for the Vikings as well. Just a quick backstory. So, I do know Bryan. I've known Bryan for a while now too. It's been a bunch of years now. So we're teammates. So this will be fun. So, Bryan, can
Yeah,
you just let the viewers know just a little bit about New York Vikings and then how it kind of started?
sure. So, New York Vikings was founded in 1956. It started in Chinatown as a team for a group of younger guys at that time who just wanted an outlet, a way to kind of have some fun and enjoy their company. Especially during those times where especially for Asian American guys, there was not a lot for them, right? They still faced a lot of difficulties. So for
Yeah.
them, 9 Man kind of became their outlet, their community. Especially for the Vikings, we've been around for a long time. In fact, some of the founding members are still around. You might catch
Right.
them if you're lucky. So
Yeah.
it's been a long time, but we're still here and we're still going.
And then how do you think 9 Man kind of in general, and then we can kind of get into Vikings more specifically, but how do you think 9 Man has really worked in building a building the community of maybe the Chinese volleyball scene in New York, and then kind of expands across the country, I would say, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 9 Man started out as a way for right the community of Chinatown to kind of have their moments to come together on the weekends to play and have fun.
Yeah.
And as it grew larger, right, other Chinatowns, right, in North America started forming their own teams, and that became a way for all these different diasporas and communities of Chinese and Asian Americans to kind of come together, right, and kind of share this experience, right? You have teams all the way from the West Coast in California, all the way to the north to Canada and Toronto, Vancouver, and every
Right.
year the game expands, right? It reaches out to more and more people, and I think it's a good thing that we, for so long that this is still a thing and that we still come together and we still play some nice 9 Man volleyball.
Yeah, and I don't know about the quick math off the top of my head, but it is like we're around like the 70th ish year, right? Of 9 Man.
Yes, yes. So the first nationals were in the 30s, and we've had a nationals every year except for the 40s during the World War II period. We had to take a quick break, but then after that, we've had nationals ever since.
Yeah, I mean, just even from my perspective, it has been really amazing, and it is really cool too. Like you kind of mentioned, there's still some of the OG Vikings, or even the older generations, at least compared to us, that we see and that they're still around, and it's kind of cool that they still support each other. They support the org still.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like one of the great things about 9 Man is that you see so many generations of players and people and families that come in and out, right? Especially if you talk to some players, they'll mention that this is their second or third generation now of 9 Man. So this is something that really people really like and enjoy, and then their families when their kids grow up, they come too to play 9 Man.
Yeah, and then do you have any like specific stories maybe about like how the Vikings has really impacted maybe in New York? Just because I mean we know that there's a bunch of different New York teams nowadays, but what was it like back then? I'm not really too sure.
Well, yeah, back then, right, there was a lot of teams, but Vikings is definitely one of the oldest. We've been around for a really long time. Nationals, when Nationals was run in those days, the Vikings actually won a few. So if you look at the 9 Man records, you'll see the Vikings names on as national champions.
Right. Yeah. It is kind of cool to hear about those stories, right? From when they won it back then.
Oh yeah, and for sure, and that's something that I think are, if you go up to them and if you ask some of the older Vikings or older players, they'll tell you stories of their time, of when they had, great times playing and they enjoyed it. And I think that that memory is something that kind of stays right in the 9 man, right? If you ask
Yeah,
anyone who's ever played, most people will tell you they've had really good time, they've enjoyed it, right? They like the community and the memories that come with playing it.
yeah, for sure. And I feel like I mean I've been playing for a while, but you know I feel like I'd still consider myself pretty new in the game compared to a lot of other people that have just really been around it for a long time. And I mean it's been awesome just how open people are to getting new people to join teams and stuff like that. It's been really cool.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah,
this sport was, we're made for that. That's what 9 man is for. Is to be an open community.
yeah. And then I don't know about you, but I feel like the stories that I've heard, it was like the way it started back then was like, Asian people couldn't really, there was some, kind of segregation in a way where like Asian guys couldn't really play volleyball with other people, and then that's kind of how it came about. That's I don't know if you know it better than
Yeah,
I do.
definitely. Yeah, so I mean, back then, a lot of the Asian American or especially Chinese guys, right? A lot of them worked in Chinatown. They worked in laundromats, they worked in kitchens and restaurants. They kind of held, a pretty low menial jobs.
Mm,
And, that time moving up was hard. There was segregation, so playing sports, especially with some of the other ethnicities was difficult. So they
right.
formed 9 man as their own community to kind of come together and kind of enjoy each other's company and really provide an outlet for them.
And then kind of going off that, I guess, like, I mean, we just talked about it, how a kind of big thing for 9 Man has been, the roots were that, Chinese guys started playing 9 Man together just because of those types of rules. So then, and that still carries on now, where, right, there's still the rule of you should be Chinese and stuff like that. But then, is that kind of how it came about? Was mainly that beginning?
I mean, it wasn't a rule, right? When it first started out, it was just something that happened because, of the circumstances, right, of
Yeah,
segregation and discrimination they faced. But as, the sport got bigger and more popular, right, the sport aspect of playing 9 man became bigger.
hmm,
And, there was kind of this competition to focus on, okay, is 9 man a sport that's played, that's competitive, then, or is this a community and tradition thing that we're trying to preserve here? So, not of 9 man, a lot of the teams are Chinese or Asian,
hmm,
mainly because the spirit of 9 man of preserving that community and preserving that Asian American heritage is what's there, right? That's not
right.
to say that people aren't, allowed to play 9 man, but in the larger picture for some of these tournaments, especially nationals, right? The point is to preserve that tradition that's been there for so long.
Right. Yeah. And then one of the tournaments, I guess, that's pretty famous for how they run their rules. And I mean, we were there last year and years previous. Like DC has, like the DC mini has been very interesting with the way that they kind of do like an open ethnicity. I mean, you kind of see anyone can really kind of play. I feel like for the most part.
Yeah, so especially as it grow, as I said, the sport grows and there's
Yeah.
more and more tournaments being added. Some of the newer tournaments are a little looser with their rules regarding that rule,
Hmm.
um, but nationals and especially tournaments like New York Mini, who have been around for so long, they kind of tend to preserve that rule to kind of
Right.
help preserve the tradition of the sport.
Yeah. And then yeah, I guess then you wouldn't see New York kind of adopting that type of newer rule just because of the tradition that they want to preserve.
I wouldn't know for say in the future. Maybe that
Yeah.
could change, but that's definitely one of the biggest things is that we're trying to keep that community, right? And trying to keep that sense of Chinatown and preserve what's been there for so long.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of and just talking about the New York Mini, which I feel like has just been so amazing. Because even there, like years that I didn't play, there were times where I would just go and watch, and I mean, it does feel really awesome going to that tournament just because of, it really is embedded in New York City Chinatown versus, and it's nothing against the DC Mini, but then
Yeah,
that one's like it was like in Maryland, like in University of Maryland before, or like last year is a little bit different.
yeah. So I think one of the things that makes the New York Mini stand out is that fact that it's played in Chinatown, right? It's played in the parks. It used to be
Yeah,
played in the streets. And the great thing is that because it's so open, members or people who live in the Chinatown community come out and watch, right?
hmm,
Oftentimes I'll see, people who work at the restaurants, who work at the different stores, they're on lunch break. They'll come out and they'll watch, right? Especially some of the older members, they'll come out and sit there all day and watch and they'll
yeah.
talk. And I think that's one of the great parts is still showing that we haven't forgotten our roots, that this is where it started.
And then this is like more like a personal question. I know it's not really on the sheet here, but I was kind of thinking about it earlier. Do you know how like the rules of 9 Man kind of evolved? Like I know that's like a long time ago, I'm sure, but like it's just so curious because it is a very different game. Like, do you know how that how
Yeah.
that even started?
Um. So I know. So I know nine. Well, first the volleyball itself was brought to China a long time ago. I think specifically in the village of Toisan in the South China, and as long as those immigrants, when they immigrated to America, brought that rule set with them, that
Mm,
9 man rule set that was created over there. And as it's kind of played here in America, it kind of gained this street ball kind of attitude towards the rules, right? That's why
yeah,
you kind of see some of the rules are very different than how you see in normal 6 man volleyball. And it's actually kind of funny, really, this divergence because, in America, right, we have a lot of rules regarding how you can attack the ball, how you can, grab the ball. We're very loose with certain things like lifts and carries, right? We
yeah,
actually, there's specific Chinese words for that, right?
yeah.
And then there's a special everyone. I'm sure this is the most important thing everyone sees in 9 man. This is the first thing they see is the hook, right?
Right, yeah,
And if everyone you ask anyone about 9 man, the first thing that they probably think of is that position. Oh, that's an illegal position. How they can do that? Well, it's because of these rules, and that's that rule allows someone to grab the ball and throw it. And in
yeah.
Chinese, there's actually a word for it. It's called a fai gao. But the funny part is actually if you go back to China and you watch 9 man volleyball, they don't play with that rule set. They
Yeah,
actually
I've
play
seen
9 man
that.
volleyball with a 6 man rule set. So
Yeah,
I think it's just really funny that is even though it's called 9 man volleyball, the rule set is so different.
yeah. And then just to explain it, I guess to other people, I mean, you already talked about it. Like the hook was is like the main thing, and that's what I do when I talk to friends that maybe come and watch, and they're curious about it. Even if they already play volleyball, they're like, the game is so different. Like there's this person that can literally, it's pretty much like dunking the ball, right? Like that's the best way to describe it. And I mean, it's such a
Yeah,
crazy
that's
position.
probably the best way.
Yeah, and it's
Definitely,
like
it's definitely the
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's definitely the hallmark of 9 man, right? Like I
Yeah,
said, if you when you try to explain 9 man, you think of 9 man. That's probably the position that stands out the most.
yeah, and so then kind of like that. Just we can talk. I'll just explain some of the rules. Is like that's the main one, right? Is that you can kind of lift, and especially on that. But then that also goes with kind of like the setting and even defensively in serve receive. Like it is very relaxed where you can kind of grab the ball. Is pretty much the best way I can describe it to you. Like on a set on a pass, you can still kind of grab the ball a lot more than you would in traditional six.
Um, yeah, so we're definitely a lot looser with that. Um, it's not a grab per se, but it's kind of like as long as it's in a fluid motion almost. And in Chinese, there's actually a word for that too. It's called chai ball. And
Hmm.
you can get pretty creative with how you play defense and you grab that ball. Some people they like to use two hands. It almost looks like a Dragon Ball Z Hadouken.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
open palms,
right.
right? So it's very creative how you can play.
Yeah, and honestly, that has been like the most favorite part that I have had when experiencing 9 Man and watching it is the creativity that the rules allow. I think it just allows people to kind of really play their own style of volleyball, and I think that's to me is something that's really is like a selling point of why 9 Man is so different. Why it is really fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And no, I think one of the great things too about it is that the creativity, the ability to kind of create your own plays different from sixes is that every year you'll see something and you'll be like, oh, I want to try that. I
Yeah,
didn't try that play before. How can I do that one? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, and
So
then
the
like
game is
yeah,
definitely, it's not static. It's definitely still evolving.
mhm.
It's still going through changes, and we're probably gonna see even crazier stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, like one of the more recent things, I don't know how long back it goes to, but there used to be like a position, it was called like suicide. And it kind of allowed there was usually it's like five blockers at the net and then there's like four defenders. But then I don't know how recent that change was where a lot of people kind of shifted away from that and then they kind of moved towards like a 6 man block and then only three defenders.
Yeah, yeah. The suicide position was definitely a lot more popular back in the day. Because of the rule set allow you to kind of when you play defense, you can kind of grab the ball or you can kind of lift a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, that position, kind of no one, not many teams really use that nowadays. Everyone has kind of switched to that 6-3 format.
Right.
Um, but again, because the rule set is so flexible, right? Who knows? Maybe we'll see a resurgence in the
Yeah, yeah.
suicide position. And if we do, Mike, I'm putting you there.
Oh
I'm
man.
nominating you for that spot.
Woo. Oh my god. I gotta get into training for that one. You gotta be real confident the way you play if you can play suicide. I feel like with the way the people can hit now,
Yes, yes.
and then this is like the one other rule that is like really weird to explain. But you can't when you're blocking at the net, and you know this better than me because you play front row. But you can't actually like pike over the net. You can't press over the net. That's like the main. That's one of like the big things in 9 Man.
Yeah, yeah. That's the biggest rule is that if you're blocking, you can't press or basically you can't break the plane of the net when you're blocking,
Yeah.
even when you're hitting actually. Um, so because most games when you're playing 9 man, if you're hitting, you're gonna have three, four, if you're unlucky, maybe five guys blocking you.
Yeah.
So that rule was kind of in place to kind of help even it.
Mhm.
But funny enough, right? Like I said, in the 9 man they play in China, they press over the net. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those rules that's kind of developed here and it's kind of stayed.
Yeah. And then maybe like the last main question that I have is what do you really find is like the most fun part about 9 Man and then maybe even just like the culture too. And we kind of talked about it already, but
Yeah, I think for me, I've been doing 9 man for so long. It's kind of become a part of my life, right?
mhm.
It's my family, it's my friends, it's my community, and I just like knowing that every summer that I have somewhere that I belong. Right? I really like going to Chinatown on the weekends during the day. I like going to practice, having fun, and then after that, spending time in Chinatown. Right? Having lunch, going to meals, doing those things. Because I mean, normally, right? We're day to day. We're busy. We have jobs. We have lives. We have family.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are in Chinatown anymore. And so, especially for me, I really like that aspect of staying close to that and staying local.
Yeah, and then I mean, I don't want to make this like a political thing, but I mean with like recent events, it has been really fun to give back to the community and being in the heart of Chinatown, it's been really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. That's mainly the main questions I have for you. So now we can just have some more fun with it. Play some games maybe.
All right, bring it on.
All right. So first one is just going to be I'm going to give you cities and then you're going to kind of blind rank them based on maybe like how good the team is or you could go based off of culture. So it's kind of the way that you want to interpret it, I guess. But there's a lot of good cities. I mean, I guess we didn't really talk about it, but there are some really good cities that play 9 man for sure. There's a lot of standouts.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of cities. And you're right. Some of them definitely have a reputation that comes with those cities.
Right. All right. So, Brian, I'm gonna have you blind rank these cities based on how good their 9 man team and culture is. So first, I'm gonna give you Washington D.C. So we'll go with 1 out of 5 here, and one is the
Washington
best.
D.C. When it's a bet. I think I'm gonna play it safe here. I'm gonna put them at 3. I think I like DC. I think they have a very strong 9 man culture. They're one of the original Chinatowns that started 9 man,
Hmm.
and especially the teams that play in DC. Those teams too have been around for a really long time, and they like to preserve that traditional 9 man feel. So I'm gonna give them a solid 3.
Yeah, I like that too. It's definitely one of the more fun tournaments too. Even though I said it's not really in Chinatown, but it's still always a fun tournament to go to. All right, and then up next we have Toronto, and this will just be
Ooh,
specifically Toronto. I know that there's other Canada cities, but we'll go Toronto here.
Toronto. Oh, Toronto's tough, but I think at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to give Toronto 2.
Hmm.
Just because they're in Canada, this is the U.S. But all jokes aside, no, Toronto has a very strong 9 man culture. Their teams that come out of Toronto are always very good. Um, they have a really strong competitive nature to them. So I know I'll give Toronto a solid 2 there.
All right, I have a feeling I know who you want to put at number one here. But for your next one, I'm gonna give you Boston.
Ooh, Boston. Oh man, I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I feel like Boston has to go in 4. Boston, I feel like combines the aspects of Toronto and DC,
Okay.
where they have the DC's aspect of they're one of the original Chinatowns. They're really traditional, and then they're also super competitive, right? So they
Right.
kind of have that aspect from Toronto, where their teams are usually really good, and for them it's also very. I feel like they're very similar to New York in a lot of ways too, with the community that they have up there.
Yeah.
So I have to give them a solid 4.
All right. So you have 1 and 5 left here. I don't know. We'll figure out how you feel about it in a second.
I feel like I'm getting a lot of hate for this.
We'll see. So the next one you have is actually San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco. Yeah, I think I have to do it. San Francisco is gonna have to go in 1. Man, if I wish I had a redo, I got to redone this whole list. But no, all jokes aside, San Francisco. Traditionally, again, teams from San Francisco are really strong. Something about teams from California. Uh, I think maybe it's the weather or something out there, but those teams are usually really good. And in the past, they tended to be the teams that dominated a lot of the tournaments.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to put them at 1.
Okay, Brian. That means that at number 5 we have New York City. Oh, man.
Oh man,
I mean,
my
we can
own
talk about New
city.
York.
But
Yeah.
all right, yeah, but all right, we'll put New York at 5. Um, for me, personally, I love New York. I
Yeah.
love the community that we have here. Um, and I don't know, man. It just feels like home.
Yeah. I think culture wise, it really has been so awesome that we've been a part of it, and I've been a part of it. I've been so thankful about it just because of, yeah, I mean, everyone's so welcoming. It's really friendly, even though there's so many different teams, but everyone seems like, you know, it's friendly banter. You get to compete against each other, and everyone pretty much knows each other at this point, I feel like. So New York City is definitely really, really good.
Man, I hope I can get redo on that list later.
All right. If you were to redo it, let me just get a quick one from you. If you were to redo it now, what do you think you would change about it? You want the list again?
Yeah, if I'm gonna redo the list, I think I would put. I'm a little biased here, but we're putting New York in one because
Yep,
it's
yep,
me.
yep.
Thinking back on it.
Yeah.
Uh, two, two, we'll put San Fran. Three will be Toronto. Four would be DC, and five would be Boston.
We got to put Boston a little bit lower just because, we got that rivalry.
Yes, yes. Let's go Knicks.
New Yorkers never like Boston. Boston never likes New Yorkers. That's just how it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what sport you play.
Yep.
Can't deal with them Bostoners.
All right. So for the next one, let me just pull up. So we're gonna rank jerseys, Brian. That's a big one.
Ooh, jerseys.
So I want to try and find one really quick here because there's one more that I want to put in here. But there's a lot of really good jerseys. I mean, for sure, I feel like there's still a lot of really fun
Yeah,
ones.
especially recently, right? I think a lot of people have really taken to jersey designs.
Mm-hmm.
9-man it's a flashy sport, so you want to wear a flashy jersey, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that for sure. I feel like
Even
it's
in
good though.
even in like older, if you ever get a chance to watch some older film, those guys they had style. They had style back then.
Yeah. So, Brian, we've both been playing 9-man. We've seen a lot of good jerseys, but I want you to try and blind rank some of these 9-man jerseys.
Oh boy.
All right. So first, I'm gonna send it to you. We got the tall ones. This is Coach Donnie's team. We actually personally played against them before. We've seen them play. It was really cool meeting him. But these are the jerseys. Got the green. It's a very unique one. Definitely, no one's got something like this.
Yes, that lime green, the
Yeah,
hallmark of Coach Donnie.
yeah, yeah,
What's it? We're ranking 1 through 5, right?
yeah. We'll do 1 through 5, and then one is the best here.
Okay. Unfortunately, sorry for those Coach Donnie fans out here. I'm gonna put him at a 5. For me personally, I don't love the lime green.
Yeah,
It kind of sticks out to me. And then, the tall ones as a name, it's funny, but I'm a traditionalist. I like them traditional Chinese names. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to stick that at a 5.
yeah. I'm. I can't completely disagree with you. I think there's definitely some bias going on just because it's like, oh, it's Coach Donnie, he's sick. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of the lime green personally either.
Well, who knows? Maybe he has a new color coming out this year.
Yay! Hey, that'd be nice. All right, and then your next jersey is gonna be the Boston Knights, and it's gonna be the red jersey here.
Oh yes, Boston Knights. I really like the red and black. I really like the red and black. I like the coloring too. Especially on the back. I think on the back it kind of shows the Chinese characters,
Yeah.
and I think it kind of it shows who they are. Right, they're an aggressive, right team, really competitive. I think we'll put them at a 3.
Okay. Yeah, I like that too. I definitely like these jerseys. I happen to like red, so maybe that's part of it. But they're nice. They're nice for sure. I like them. All right, and then your next jersey here is gonna be the Washington D.C. It's from CYC.
Yes, CYC. I really like this jersey. I like the mix between traditional and modern they have going on there, right? They have the kind of Chinese pagoda style in the middle, and in the
Hmm.
bottom, they kind of have the Boston skyline going. I like the Chinese lettering at the top too is very traditional. You can kind of see my criteria, right, with this.
Yeah, yeah.
but I like the coloring, the whole thing. I think it looks really nice. I'm gonna have to give them. Actually, no, that's not a Chinese. That's the gate actually to Boston. Now that I look closer at it,
Oh, okay.
so yes, it's the gate that the dragon gates they have in Chinatown.
Hmm.
So for Boston, this is a really nice, solid color jersey, nice designs, everything.
Yeah.
We'll give them a 2.
Okay. I think this is definitely, at least from personal experience, I feel like this is definitely like a controversial one, like that one, just because I think some people think that it's like too busy. I sometimes think that where, it just looks like there's like too much going on, but I do like the colors though. The colors are definitely nice for this one. And this one is one of our fellow New York teams. We got the NYC Impact, their city jerseys that I think that this was new last year.
Yes, the white and blues. Um, I like the color scheme, right? The red, white, and blue they got going on.
Mhm.
Very New York. Um, I like the skyline at the bottom. They got the matching shorts too going on there as well.
Yeah.
Overall, it's a very clean jersey. Uh, but again, my personal thing, I like a little traditional taste on it.
Hmm.
So the fact that I can't really see the China. Well, maybe they're on the front, but from this picture alone, I'd have to give them a 4.
Okay. So I think what you have left is number one here, right? I believe so. Yeah, you had five. Boston was three.
Yep, I think
DC was two. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know what can get more traditional than this one. The last one at your number one spot is gonna be Toronto Connex with their blue navy jersey. It's super basic, but it's definitely a classic.
yeah, this is a classic jersey, and I think it kind of represents them as a team as well, right?
Hmm.
They're a really good team. They like to stay competitive and stay super clean. And I just like again, the lettering in the front. And the other thing too about this jersey is that, most people recognize this jersey as being one of the most competitive jerseys or belong to one of the most competitive teams out there.
Yeah.
So, yep, one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think part of it is definitely a bonus because of the team and how good the team is. That makes this jersey feel a little bit nicer. But I do like how classic is. Definitely like that. All right, so that was your blind ranking of 9-man jerseys. As you can see, there's a lot of colors. A lot of these teams do like to have very colorful jerseys. But like Brian said, and I agree, it is really nice when it has the Chinese characters and it keeps it traditional. Your last one, Brian, before I let you go, is we're gonna do kind of like Chinese foods or stuff that you'd get in Chinatown, and we'll just see. We're gonna rate them on kind of how it would be for like a pre-game meal, or maybe like during the game or after the game, something like that. All right, we'll do it like that. So the same thing. It's gonna be five, 1 through 5. Number one is the top one. Okay.
I got it.
All right. So blind rank these Chinese foods as if they were a pre-game meal, and maybe how good they would be for you. So the first one that we got is a very classic one. Is char siu over rice, and this is specifically from New York, from Wafeng.
Ooh. For this one, you can't go wrong. I mean, it's got everything you need.
Yeah.
Carbs, protein, that little slice of cabbage for your vegetable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's cheap. I mean, everything in relative is cheap, but we're gonna go with the 3. I think it's a solid pregame meal.
I will let you know after this. There are like very crazy ones on here, just so you know.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right. So your next one is gonna be a pineapple bun.
Ooh, I'm a sucker for pineapple buns. Especially like in the morning if I need something quick, a little breakfast. Pineapple buns is the default choice for me. I think I'm gonna have to go with the 2 there.
All right. Yeah, I mean it's good. Like some carbs, quick, and definitely a good pregame meal if you ask me to. All right, and then your next one is gonna be curry fish balls.
Ooh, curry fish balls are good. Curry fish balls. If I put it at 1, it's gonna be hard there. All right, we'll put it at a 4. I think curry fish balls. It's a little bit on the heavier side, especially just before you want to play.
Mm.
But don't get me wrong, the sauce plus the curry fish balls
Yeah,
and the noodles too. I think it's a solid choice.
yeah. I like that one too. Definitely can't sleep on that one, but you never know. Got to play it safe here. So this is your 1 and 5 spot left. We got dim sum, and this is like hagao, siumai, chongfan, like all that type of stuff. whatever you think is your favorites, we'll put that in for dim sum.
Oh, dim sum. I think dim sum has to go to one. I think dim sum, you just got everything you want, everything you need, right? It's got so much variety. It's got protein, carbs, vegetables. You can get it heavy, you can get it light, get it on the go. If you have time, maybe you can sit in a restaurant, take your time, a couple hours. But just before a game, I think that's just what you need before you play a game.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be yeah, you can eat just a little bit of it. It can be light still. I definitely like having this at one. All right, and then that leaves your number five spot here, and I think you played it right. We have just a taro milk tea.
Taro milk tea. Oh man, I like taro milk tea.
Me too.
But unfortunately, us Asians, a lot of us are lactose intolerant, so maybe not so good before a game.
Yeah, and you might get a little too wired off of the tea, maybe the caffeine that might be in that thing.
It's our version of pre-workout before we go play.
Getting some milk tea. All right, that wraps it up with me and Brian here. Thanks, Brian, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Justin would appreciate it too. Obviously, he's not here, but this is really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I enjoyed talking to you about 9 Man, and ready to do it again.
Do you have any, maybe you want to plug, maybe, 9-man volleyball, or it could be like the Vikings too? Anything you want to plug?
Ooh, plug. Definitely follow 9 Man New York Vikings on Instagram. Definitely follow
Yeah.
us on Instagram for updates and tournaments,
Oh yeah.
and catch us out in Chinatown this summer.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be playing plenty of tournaments in the city for sure. So it'd be awesome if people came out.
Of course.